action. Ravens, Titans, Bears, Saints, and of course the Browns and Steelers Part 3 on Sunday Night Football to wrap it up. But it does start with a matchup that has seen some classic playoff games in the past.
There was one person on my mind. How do I get to Eddie George?
George going left, cuts it up, touchdown!
We go toe-to-toe with anybody. There was one team in particular that gave us fits, and that was Baltimore.
McNair throws underneath, and it's picked off. Ray Lewis couldn't go all the way.
When you go in the Lions' den, you don't tippy-toe in. You carry a spear, you go in screaming like a banshee, and you kick whatever door's in and say, where's the son of a... If you go in any other way, you're going to lose.
This was not a game. This was an all-out war.
Like with a lot of attention, you got to believe. This is where it all started right here. This is another chance when somebody comes into your house, you stand up because it's yours.
That was one of the best rivalries when we first came on the air in 2003. Here we are in 2021 in Nashville, Tennessee. Tom Pelissero, take it away.
Rich, it was 20 years ago that the Ravens beat the Titans here in Nashville on their way to a Super Bowl win. The same day, Lamar Jackson celebrated his 4th birthday. This week, Lamar turned 24, and he acknowledged he wants to erase the narrative that he has yet to win a playoff game in his young career, adding, "That's the number one thing in my mind right now for sure." Here's Stacey Dales in New Orleans.
Well, Tom, the 7th-seeded Bears enter this game against the Saints as the relative underdog. All-pro pass rusher Khalil Mack said this week, "I've always felt like the underdog. It's just in me." I know that's the case for these guys, too, his teammates, of course. And he also noted, "We've been hearing a lot of disrespect out there. You take offense to it, but you also use it to your advantage." Right now, we're going to go to Pittsburgh with Aditi Kinkhabwala. Aditi?
Stacey, the Steelers here have had a very normal week. The Browns, not so much. Right now, they are waiting for the results of their rapid COVID testing. They're still hoping that they can get back into the facility today, do a walkthrough, have a mock game, and then get on a plane to fly here to Pittsburgh. Ordinarily, the Browns take a bus for the 2-hour ride, but because of all the COVID issues this week, it was deemed safer to spend less time together. Now let's go to the birthday boy, Ian Rappaport.
Well, thanks, Aditi. One of these situations that's been really percolating all around the NFL the last couple of days is Deshaun Watson. He is frustrated with the Houston Texans. I'm told very angry, and it involves the lack of communication between the Texans organization, specifically owner Cal McNair, regarding the hire of Nick Caserio and the impending hire of their head coach. When Watson talked to Cal McNair recently over Zoom, he was told, "We will get your input. We will value your feedback when it comes to general manager candidates you like, head coach candidates you like." Instead, like a lot of people, Deshaun Watson found out that Nick Caserio was going to be their general manager on Twitter, just like he found out that the team had traded DeAndre Hopkins the previous offseason on Twitter. The organization has reached out to him. Caserio has, Cal McNair has. They have not heard back. Certainly this is something that they are going to want to fix very, very quickly, Rich.
Yeah, Cal McNair said that that Deshaun, he looks forward to hearing from Deshaun when he returns from vacation, where Watson clearly had enough Wi-Fi to send out this tweet when Caserio got hired. Some things never change. He then deleted that tweet and then had enough Wi-Fi to Instagram out a photograph of him enjoying his vacation at a very, very sunny place.
There's a lot here in that some things never change, Rich. Maybe he's talking about that they're calling him after they made the decision instead of before they made the decision. Obviously, some things never change.
Something's up because Deshaun Watson is as dynamite an individual as there is in the National Football League. Everybody in Houston knows it. And the last word you normally would associate with Deshaun Watson would be disillusioned. And so, Kurt, you're our quarterback. What do you think is going on right here?
Well, guys, I mean, I see both sides of it. I mean, you're a franchise guy, the face of the franchise in Deshaun Watson. Would you love to be a part of the coaching search or the GM search and have input or at least sit in on the interviews? No doubt about it. And there would have been a respect factor there. And I know they talked about different things, but to whatever degree, to allow him to be a part of that. But I'll also put my player hat on and say to you guys that when I was playing, I didn't do research on general managers around the league. I didn't do research on people that were up for coaching hires. And I would not have known what made a great general manager or a great head coach, or if the guys that were in there for interviews would have made great whatever in that position. It wasn't something that I studied. My job was to play football, so I focused on football. I'm not saying Deshaun Watson is in the same boat that I was in. I just know for me, it would have been nice to have the organization ask me about it. But I don't know if I would have ever felt comfortable that I did my due diligence to be able to say, hey, Mr. McNair, I think we ought to go this direction, or I would like this guy as a coach. And then Irv, just the other side of it is, even if he was involved in those conversations, and then what if the owner decided to go a different direction after he was a part of it and said, I want to go this direction? That could lead to discourse as well. So I think there's a lot of issues here, and it's a tough one to handle, especially for a guy that's the face of a franchise.
The thing here also, Kurt and guys, Deshaun, his legacy is going to be remembered by what he does on the football field. We always talk about these GMs and a lot of, nobody ever remember these guys. So now these guys are all communicating. Deshaun's talking to guys like Patrick Mahomes. He said in the press conference, they talked about it. You know, they need a culture change. They don't want this to be Patriot South. And then you go out and bring in another Patriot guy. You know, I look in college ranks. You see guys like Nick Saban. He has success, and Nick's stern, like the Belichick. But you also see guys like Dabo Swinney have great success. And Dabo Swinney is a different kind of coach. People are saying sometimes, maybe we want a culture change. We want to have more fun. We want to do more things. And I don't mind Deshaun saying, can I get a hand in that? I'm sure they had these conversations before they gave him $40 million a year. I'm sure they said to him that we are going to make this thing work and we're going to get it on the right track and we will allow you to help us with that. I'm sure they made those decisions. I'm sure that's why he's saying what he's saying.
Well, when
some things never change because, again, they didn't do it. They didn't tell me about D-Hop, and now they didn't tell me about this.
But he signed on the dotted line after D-Hop was sent away, and he signed on the dotted line when Bill O'Brien was the coach there. And so the question is...
So that's what I'm saying, Rich. Why would he do that if he said... I'm sure he said, you guys are going to talk to me about some of these things.
Right,
help this
and
out.
he signed on the dotted line where the contract apparently has a no-trade clause. He's got to sign off on anything over the next 5 years. So the question is what does the disillusionment mean? Because they do have to address it. It doesn't matter if they might be sitting there thinking in any way, shape, or form, well, Deshaun, I mean, he was on vacation when we had to make this hire. I mean, we couldn't read. I mean, if anything gets thrown on number 4's lap, it doesn't matter because number 4's hands and mind and heart and body is what will lead this team to a championship. They've got to make this right if something is wrong, Steve.
Yeah, they've got some work to do with this team, with personnel, because Bill O'Brien won the division 4 times, and not a lot of those players are gone. But let me preface this by saying one thing. I know Deshaun Watson since high school. All right, I love the guy.
Yeah,
great player, great guy off the field, all of that. I'm curious that ownership, Cal McNair or the front office, whoever, promised him or had a conversation saying, we're going to involve you in a GM search. I understand a head coaching search because friends and former teammates have exposure to these other coaches and systems, and you kind of know how coaches are with players, okay? But GMs, players and assistant coaches don't know jack squat about the GM pool, all right? And you're talking... Nick Caserio, did you know about Nick Caserio and his resume? No, it's just a matter of these assistant GMs come from systems, whether it's Bill Belichick or whoever, and players don't know how they're going to set up the draft, how they're going to set up scouting, how they're going to hire coaches.
Everybody that has come from New England has come from New England with the same thing. They all try to do the Belichick wherever they go. Yeah. I don't care what area they are in, and we know this. We know this. Yeah. They do the same thing. So why wouldn't Deshaun know this?